Hi there folks, my name is Nova24 and welcome to another little review for an FSX and prepared product. So today we're having a look at one. It was actually released sort of late last year in sort of 2018, but it's come through quite a few sort of updates and upgrades over the from the producers Just Flight over the last few months. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to actually go back and have another quick look at it. So of course we are here with the Beechcraft Model 76 Duchess, and brought to us, as I just sort of alluded to, by Just Flight. So first of all, before we get too far into this review, I do want to say thank you very much to the team over at Just Flight for providing me with the review copy of this aircraft today. So we're going to be going through, we're going to be having a look at the aircraft as it appears. So as I said, this review is being done in end of March 2019, and as I said, we're up to Rev 7 of the release of this. So as I said, there's been a few updates to it, so I thought this was a great opportunity for us to have a look at the review. Now, of course, we're going to be doing this in our standard sort of format. We're going to be going through, we're going to be having a wander around the external of the aircraft here, and then, of course, we're going to be going out for a test flight. We're going to be doing one of the things that this aircraft is actually pretty much highly known for, which is, of course, pilot training, but we're going to get more into that with the aircraft as we get going shortly. So, what is the Duchess? As we're going to have a look at the external textures. We're going to make the start here as we do our walk around. So, again, this comes to us from the in-house development team from Just Flight, and again, they've done a really good job. It's nice to see them doing something other than a PA-28. Can I just say, like, I'm really enjoying the GA aircraft that are coming out from the team at Just Flight, but it's nice to see them do something other than a Piper aircraft for a change. And so yeah, so we've got here this little twin engine sort of touring aircraft, but primarily it was actually ended up serving as a trainer. Now, of course, the high definition, you get a whole slew of liveries with this one, with this release of this aircraft from Just Flight, spanning many of the countries that operate it. You've got a German example, you've got a couple of American examples, Canadian examples, and some British examples, a New Zealand one, and of course this Australian one. Most of which you will find are all in the colours of various flight training schools. Now that's because this aircraft proved to be very, very popular, and was actually designed from the outset to be designed to be an economical twin-engine trainer. It's got a couple of aerodynamic features that actually make it really, really appropriate for flight training. Indeed, I know a couple of the pilots that I work with actually did a lot of did some of their navigation training here in Australia using a Duchess, because it is a very docile aircraft and a great opportunity. And as I said, that's kind of what the flight will be doing today. So, I'm getting a bit sort of off topic here, but as I said, like, we've got the textures here, the usual high quality textures that we're seing from the in-house team over at Just Flight. Really highly detailed textures coming through here. Got a nice sort of bit of sheen to the aircraft and the textures that we come across here. By the way, if you're wondering if it's PBR or not, so as I said, this one I'm reviewing this in prepared 4.3. I haven't installed 4.4 yet with the PBR textures at the moment, but I believe it is not something this aircraft has at this time. Otherwise, though, it's still a very high quality set of textures coming through here. You can see, like, you know, the really fine detail come through here. Beautiful set of the bit mapping here, and still getting a really nice sheen to the texturing as well. And that's carried across to some of the internals as well shortly as well. Now, some of the other stuff that I like to see, you know, with the tie downs here and the chocks here, which automatically appear in the airframe once you have when you're on the ground, engines off, and the park brake on. Now, one of the other things that I do notice here that some people, some developers do and some developers don't, is that some of the features you can actually access from outside the aircraft while you're doing your walk around. Now, it does have some of the engine management features that we've started to see in some of the other GA aircraft that Just Flight's been producing recently. We'll get more into those once we get in the cockpit, but I just wanted to show this one at the moment, is that you do have some clickable areas on the outside of the aircraft. Primarily at the moment in this airframe, it's only the doors. You can actually open the pilot, the passenger, and the rear baggage door as well. So we can sort of there we go. To open that one up, you can open up the rear door here as well, and you can also close them from here as well. So you've, as I said, you've got the ability to be able to do this from outside the aircraft, and as I said, it's a nice little touch. As I said, you know, some people may not do it much, but it's a great way to actually sort of engage this one, particularly because this is like a flight training aircraft. So anybody who wanting to, you know, maybe practice if they're going to be going for some actual flights in the real one, this gives them the chance to be able to actually be able to, you know, do some of your pre-flight walk around and stuff like that from here using this aircraft, and be able to do some of that. It'd be nice if we could actually sort of do some, you know, if we could actually sort of, for example, have like the fuel cap here. You'd be able to actually open that and check your fuel that way. That would be cool, but again, it would not. But yeah, as I said, it's a small thing, but as I said, at least we know we're paying attention to that. All right, so enough of that. Now, speaking of it, we'll climb aboard the aircraft here. We'll get go through, have a look at the office, and we'll go through our pre-flight, get ourselves up in the sky, and we're getting going very shortly. So let's jump into the office. Alrighty, so here we are in the office of our Beechcraft Duchess here. So I just want to show off a couple of things before we get started with that. I do want to show off a couple of things. Just going to bring up the menu up here. So we got when you install the Duchess, like you do with many of the other recent Just Flight GA products, in your add-ons menu, there will be one entered for when you load the aircraft. It'll load in this little add-on menu where you can actually sort of do a couple of automatic things. You can actually set the panel states of the aircraft, so you can set it cold and dark, or you can just shortcut it one click, get it all ready for takeoff. You can also toggle a couple of other things here as well, including engine management. That enables a couple of more advanced features, for example, oil burn, and you've actually got to manage vapor lock, so you actually make sure you got your engine cowlings open. You don't idle too high or too low for too long, because it will actually end up fouling your spark plugs and shutting your engine down. You can also turn the cockpit state saving on and off in this aircraft as well, which enables you, for example, that when you shut the aircraft down, it will actually remember exactly as it was, everything right all the way down to the actual fuel voltage, the battery voltages as well. So not quite as in depth as what A2A can do, but as I said, it's a really it adds that next level sort of extra bit of twist and extra bit of ability to your actual flight simulation experience. It's great to see that come across in here. Also got the panel selector here, which allows you to shortcut a couple of other Just Flight panels and access to the checklist set up as well. And you also have here toggling your refill menu. So the refill menu, and we'll actually look at this one at the moment. As I said, this is the kind of one which I'd like to see be able to access things like the be able to check the engine oil and be able to check the fuel from outside the aircraft. That'd be kind of cool. Otherwise, it is here. So if, again, this menu also works in conjunction with having the engine management turned on. So we're just going to toggle the refuel menu here, so we can actually check our oil. So we're going to check our oil quantity first. So we can see here that we're 6 quarts in engine 1, 8 quarts in engine 2. So we're going to refill our oil while we're here. So that's done automatically. No confirmation, which is a bit annoying, but we can sort of pull up our check oil quantity again, which now shows that we've got 8 quarts in both engines. So that's good to know. The other thing that you can do a refill fuel I can't talk today. Refill fuel here, but you can't check the fuel here, which is kind of a little bit weird, and I kind of thought that would have been cool to have that separate otherwise, but anyway, small things. But I do believe we've got plenty of fuel, so that should be fine, and we're just going to close this menu now. So there we go, all done. You can, of course, recharge the battery if you do manage to flatten your battery as well. Alright, so without any further ado, what we'll probably do here, let me just bring up the panel selector. So I'll select the arrow on. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up our checklists. So as I said, you've got the standard sort of checklists that have been shipping with Just Flight products for a while now. These come through, so you can have these here. We can go through now. These, again, this is something that I have mixed feelings about. They're not automatic checklists, so you do actually have to manually sort of check them off. It doesn't actually read the status of it is at the moment. Like you can see, for example, here that my parking brake is on, but it's not actually recognizing it here, so I actually have to manually check that off. So I think I've talked about this. I think every time I see one of these Just Flight things, I've got mixed feelings about it. I like, because I know in the past they have done checklists for some of their Just Flight in-house developed products where it does automatically read the state of the aircraft from the sim, and if it's the correct one, it'll actually put it into the checklist, or it gives you the option to do this one. So this one is probably a bit more realistic in the fact that you're actually doing the checklist yourself. So probably there is that. But as I said, it's up to you guys. As I said, what your thoughts are, opinions. I see pros and cons for both. At the end of the day, not a huge issue either way, but it would be a nice to have. All right, what we're going to do is it's probably going to be a bit boring, but we are going to do this because this is the first flight of this aircraft for the day. So let's go through all of our full pre-flight checklist here. Alright, so first things first, so we're going to go through, we've got our parking brake is, oh, by the way, you can see here, actually, I probably is what I'll do there, usual thing, you've got the click hotspot here, so normally you've got the yoke there, and you can just press the click hotspot to be able to hide the yoke there, so it isn't quickly going to hide that one. Alright, let's do our pre-flight checklist. Alright, so we've got parking brake is set, alright, done, and we've got avionics is off. Mixture is set to idle cut off. Magnetos starter switches are both set to off. Battery switch to on. There we go. Okay. So we see everything there. We've got plenty of fuel coming through. Done. Fuel gauges, we've checked our quantity. We've got more than enough fuel for our flight that we're planning today. We've got our warning lights there. Check the battery low. Yep, we're good there. Flaps, check operation. So we've got electrically driven flaps. Full way through here. So visually checking them against the position of the reader. Yep. There we go. And we'll cycle them back up. All the way tucked up. There we go. Excellent. Right. Battery thing, and now we turn the battery master off. Okay, done. There we go. Okay, flight controls. So we'll check full and clear move. I'll probably put the yoke back in for this one. Alright, so we'll check our ailerons. Good. That one. Okay, we'll look across the T-tail here. Elevator moving, and we'll check our... Okay, and we've got our rudder moving correctly. There we go. We're good to go there. Excellent. Okay, flight controls done. Trim controls set to neutral. Alright, I didn't do that at the end of my last flight, so it's remembered that. So we'll check that to trigger nose trim to neutral. Alright. Yep. Rudder to neutral. Aileron to neutral. Yep, good to go. Alright, baggage door is closed, done. Flaps and ailerons, we've checked those as part of our flight control services. We did our walk around before, so we checked that they're all done. Okay, tie downs removed, fuel tanks checked to level, we've done that. Chocks removed, tow bar, we're not using the tow bar, which is one of the options you've got up here. And we've checked our oil level. Alright, we are done with that one. Okay, next page, so we've checked our props, landing lights. We checked those on the outside. Not really, we don't really do much with these ones, and we are good. There we go. Done! Awesome! Alright, next checklist. So before start checklist. Alright, so we've got our parking brakes set. Landing gear lever is, we'll hide that yoke, I think. There we go. Landing gear lever is set to down, circuit breakers in, carburetor heat is off, cowl flaps set to open, go. Set to open, done. Alright, avionics is still off. Fuel selectors, set fuel selectors to on. Fuel selectors to on. Light switches are off. Battery alternator switches set to on. Check. Done. Alright. Engine start. Battery switch to on. Alternator out under voltage lights are on. Mixture set to full rich on both engines. Alright, propeller is set to high RPM. Throttle, we'll start with the left engine. Quarter open. Probably a bit more than quarter, that's alright. Okay, then we've got again, auxiliary fuel pump on. We'll start with the left engine. Okay, magneto start switch. So I'm just rotating this using a right click on there, so we'll set that to both. Then we push in to prime, 2 pumps to prime, and then we are going to turn to right. Engine start, engine up. Right, we can shut the door there now. Okay. Started confirmed, magneto switch straight back to both, done. Engine, bring it back, let it idle. Give it in the 1000 to 1200 RPM range. Nice and good. Alright. And oil pressure in the green. Starter warning light is out. Alright, repeat process with the right engine. Okay, alright, so cracking the throttle open a little bit. There we go. Okay. Fuel pump is on. Okay. Prime engine. And wrong one. Go. Second time's a charm. As I said, and that's actually a good thing. Is that it doesn't always catch, and it's great to actually sort of have that engine management in there where it didn't catch that time. So it had to hold it right. Okay, so we'll check the engine smooth running. Again, oil pressure in the green. Yep, we are good on that one. Excellent. All right. Okay, now before we taxi, we're going to be doing. We'll get our avionics set up. What we'll do is we'll get our avionics set up, I think. So we might just, I might just close that checklist for the moment. All right. So as I said, what we're doing here, we're going to be doing a little bit of a session here where we're going to be doing much of what this aircraft is sort of designed to do, which is in fact it's actually designed to be a trainer. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting this up. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a flight. So we're flying between a couple of airports today. So we're going to be, we're currently at Coffs Harbour Airport in Australia. We're going to be here doing a bit of a nav run. We're going to be heading out to Tamworth. And we're going to be doing some VOR navigation. So we're going to be using an outbound radial from Coffs Harbour, from Charlie Foxtrot Sierra as the identifier. We're going to use that for our outbound till we pick up the Tamworth VOR, which hopefully should just be a straight thing. We shouldn't have to change heading at all. It's pretty much a straight shot. But yeah, we're going to be doing that, and just to get it to make sure our nav system is working, and go in for a approach into Tamworth. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get over here. So we're going to set all those frequencies up. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up the frequency for the Coffs Harbour VOR DME, which is outbound one we'll be using for when we leave the actual thing here. So, oh, that's right. We need to probably turn the avionics on. That might be a good idea, but might not. There we go. Alright, so we've got a radio master. Okay, there we go. Yeah, right, okay, so we've got to turn that one on. Done. Alright. So that brings everything up here. We'll bring, we won't be using NDB today, but we'll power it up if we need to. We'll use something other than 7,000, I think. We'll just use 5,000. I think it'll be enough, good enough today. Alright, so first things first, let's tune in to get our VOR, and we'll also get our Tamworth VOR ready as on the backup here. We'll also set it up for both Nav1 and Nav2. So Nav1's powered by the Garmin GNS 430, and Nav2 down here by the Bendix the KX165. So, alright, let's do this. So we're going to be doing 117 megahertz, which is our outbound, so which is actually, I've already got that pre-done, so I can swap those over. Alright, so that, and then we need to preset the Tamworth VOR, which I believe is 116, I think. Yep, 116. So let's, oh, wrong one. Wrong one, that's the one I want. Okay, 116. Go. Excellent. Okay, so 116. Done. All right, now we're just going to set. So we're going to set this. Queue both of these up in the in our nav 2 as well, just for shits and giggles. Okay. I didn't plan for these frequencies to be sort of nice even numbers, but apparently that works for us. Apparently. All right. So first 117 is the one that we'll be using first. 16. Righty, okay. So first things first, we're going to be using I think we'll be using runway 21 for our departure today. I think. I'm just checking my nav, my weather here. So yeah, we'll be using 21 for our departure. So we're gonna fly runway heading to start with, and then we're gonna circle back around over the center of the field and over the center of the VOR, and then we're gonna fly the to the 238 outbound radial from Coffs Harbour, which should then just line us up nicely with the 238 inbound radial for coming into Tamworth. So first of all, we're going to set our bearing indicator for our runway headings. We're going to set that one for 210. Do that one first. Okay. Done. Go. But I'm going to set our nav 21 up to be 238 degrees, which will be the degree because it will loop over the airfield for that one there. We're going to have to set to 238. Done. Excellent. Right, good. So just quickly making sure my frequencies are set correctly. Just comparing to my my notes on my kneeboard here. It's got 117 is the active on both our nav 1 and nav 2. And that's actually something I said. I like the fact that, yeah, I said this aircraft has been used as a trainer a lot for these things. So right, so it's a pretty good simulation that we've got going here. All right, enough of that. We've got it here. We've got ourselves ready to go. Let's for our get things going with our vapor lock. Now we've got all that done. Let's get our strobe. Like gets our lights on, strobes on, navs on, taxi lights on. We're going to use our pitot heats on. Electric trim is on. We shouldn't need the heater. But we'll get our autopilot circuitry some power, and we'll also put some power to our weather radar that we can switch on later as well. Okay, all right. I think that is us just about ready to go. I might just quickly hide it. I just like having it not there. There you go. All right. Okay, let's taxi out. So we're taxiing out to runway 21. Let's do that, and then we'll have for our departure here. So. Off. Park braking is off. Good to taxi now. That's before we do that. Let's bring up our checklists here. So taxiing, we've got avionics on, lights required. We've checked our engine instruments. Taxi area is clear. We've just got one of the Orbix's dudes just checking out that Robinson over there. Parking brake release, throttle park solid, brakes check, steering check. All right. So, parking brake off, brakes off. Yep, generators on, that's good. Okay. Okay, yep, both brakes work. Steering is working. Excellent. Alright, we should be good. Going to go down, taxi down here. We'll taxi along 28 as we we taxi towards 2-1, 2-1 departure today. Let's hold here. No other traffic that we can see. Just close that checklist while we taxi. The aircraft is, even on the ground handling of it is very simple, very docile. Don't overspeed sort of too much on the taxi, but it's very, as I said, it's just a really nice airplane. Again, I like the ground handling of it, and the startup process, you know, is simple, direct, but you know, it still has the checks that you sort of have when you to experience the aircraft. So I'm really enjoying it so far, that's for sure. All right, mind you, I have, admittedly, I did take it for a few test flights before now. That's all right. So we're just taxiing along here towards the runway. We'll turn down Delta here, and that should take us to the end of 2-1. Qantas and Virgin here. So yeah, it looks like we're the first flight of the day. Normally, always the AO traffic has somebody doing circuits here. Apparently not today. By the way, folks, the airfields that both this airfield that we're flying from and the one we're going to are both Orbix airfields. So you get to, if you are enjoying the Orbix scenery and you want to experience it yourself, you can do so. You can have available at Orbix Direct. Just enjoying that texture sheen there. Beautiful sunrise here coming for our departure here. All right, coming up to our hold short line before we enter 2-1. Just jamming. Brakes, touch the brakes a little bit. Okay, right, let's hold short here. Okay, we'll put the parking brake on. Alright, bring up our checklist again here quickly. Alright, next checklist. So, ground check. Parking brakes is set. Throttles to 2200 RPM. Check RPM drops from magnetos. Left click on here to bring down. No minimal drop. And right engine. Oop. That's good. Back in limits. Yep. All temperatures still with the limits in the green. Oil pressure in the green. Alright. Propellers, exercise those. The RPMs change. All full feather. All the way forward again. Done. Alright. We don't need carburetor heat at the moment. We should be good for that. Engine temp looks good. Fuel pumps are on for takeoff. Fuel pressure in the green. Throttle's retarded. We are good. Alright, okay. Final before takeoff checklist. Battery switch on. Alternator switches on. Instruments checked. Selectors are on, fuel pumps on, engine checks complete, carburetor heat is off, mixture is full rich, propellers high RPM, magneto starter switches set to both, flaps set, we'll use flaps up for our takeoff here, trims neutral for takeoff, controls free and clear, doors closed. Time for us to depart. Excellent. Alright. Well, that's been fun so far. As I said, I'm really enjoying this aircraft. Just really enjoying it. Alright, taxi out onto the runway here. Bike brake off. Their final check, no traffic. No conflicting traffic. Excellent. So we'll do our left circle over the field here. Our departure. Rolling takeoff. You're up. As we clear through 1,000 feet, we'll level off, we'll turn, we'll sort of continue our climb. We'll start to circle back around and pass over the midfields. We pass through 1,000 feet. VOR is actually sort of located on the field there, so we'll need to change, watching our nav to there. Just quickly change this heading. Pass over the field, change this one to 238. See, we've gone past it, so we need to correct now over to the left. Get back over on course. Now, okay, so while we're in that cruise, let's go through some of the other. Let's have a look at some of the things here. Now, I did want to point out here where this little thing over here. So we did see this brief during the startup process. I didn't turn it on, so it'll be a good time to have a talk about it now. So this is the weather radar over here that's built in. Now, this device. Oh, so I found that the buttons on it are a bit finicky from time to time. They're sort of a bit intermittent with how they work. But essentially what it has actually two modes, this one here. So if you have a weather engine installed, such as Active Sky Next, or Rex's RX Weather radar, what you'd be able to have is so the Rex's Skyforce 3D, sorry, so their Skyforce with their Weather Wizard's weather engine. This will actually sort of read the weather come off that, will actually sort of show the clouds actually sort of going through here. If, however, you don't have one of those third-party engines, what it will do is it will actually show you, it'll be work like a TCAS. And if you do have a weather engine and want to use TCAS mode, pretty simply press test here, and it will then show any other aircraft or any other air traffic will show up as crosses through here. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. So, as I said, it's kind of cool, kind of interesting that it's there. The buttons, as you can see, are a bit finicky here, so the only real issue that I have is just for some reason the buttons are just a little finicky. Not 100% sure why, they just seem to be that way. So, but yeah, otherwise, I really like the fact that it does work with the like add-on weather programs and stuff like that. That's just kind of cool. I really like it. So yeah, there you go. Alrighty, so we're establishing our cruise just over 10,000 feet, so we're sort of between a couple of cloud layers here, so we should be settling in for our cruise. Now we're just about the edge of the radar, of the range of the Port Macquarie VOR. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the Tamworth VOR, which is of course our destination. Now theoretically, everything should go accordingly, it should go swimmingly, we shouldn't have too many issues, but we're going to switch over from nav mode over to heading mode just quickly while we make the change. So I got the one my heading bug correctly, that's alright. Okay, so first things first we're going to do is we're going to see how we're sitting for, so we see here that we're doing the from VOR at the moment because we're on the 117, so we'll switch over to Tamworth on 116 on nav 2. So you can see that, yep, so we're now going 2, which looks like we're going to go a little bit to the left, that's fine. 238 degrees, yep, 238 degrees. So what we'll do now is we'll switch over the nav 1 frequency as well. So that's got the red flag went because it was while switching over, now it's switched over. Alright, so yep, it's going to go left, matching that, so now we're going to change this from heading to nav mode again and let it slide back over. Beautiful sort of shadows of the sun, of the morning sun just passing across the instrument panel as we sort of shift course a little bit there. So while that corrects itself, probably a good time for us to have a wander and have a look through the cockpit here. Now, again, I really like the fact that it's like the Duchess, the Beechcraft Duchess, as I was saying before during the intro, it was designed for the ground up as a training aircraft, as a sort of twin-engine training aircraft, as a nav trainer and as to be able to give pilots their multi-engine ratings. As such, it included a couple of things to make it popular and more docile for students to operate on. One of them is the fact that the propellers, so obviously twin-engine aircraft, the propellers actually rotate in opposite directions. So one of the things to be sort of aware of with twin-engine, one of the dangers of twin-engine aircraft, one of the hazards of twin-engine aircraft, is you have an engine failure, a single engine failure. There is always no, if you have your propellers rotate the same way, it's called a critical engine failure. So it's the one particular engine, and for the life of me I can't remember which one it is, and that if you've got both engines where the propellers rotate the same way, one of the engines is a more critical engine to fail than the other, particularly in sort of like, you know, the early stages of flight. By having the contra-rotating propellers like that, it eliminates that that factor, as it were. It also makes the aircraft more docile and easier to handle and trim, because you're not fighting against the fact that the engines are both trying to push you to one direction together in one flight. They're actually sort of evenly balanced, as it were. So that's probably something to be aware of. And I just realised I need to switch my fuel into crossfeed. Well, now that we've settled into our cruise and our level flight, our fuel tanks balance out a little bit. So yeah, so it's an interesting, and also the T-tail design as well is another thing that was actually so the tail planes are then clear of the disturbed airstream of the aircraft, making it again an easier aircraft to control and handle in flight. Now going through some of the texturing thing here as well, it's really like I really like the fact, of course, you know, these aircraft have been produced since the 70s, so it's really great to see sort of, you know, the texturing, get the experience of the texturing. To actually sort of, you know, see and feel what it's actually like. An aircraft that's well used, well loved, and in fact the vast majority of these colour schemes that are included with this are all colour schemes of various flight schools around the world. Also, I want to point out something kind of interesting, kind of cool here as well, is the emergency gear extension access door. So you can actually click on this and pop it open. And by the way, this actually works. So it's literally sort of, it's a pressure valve. Sort of click that and it just pushes it and just drops the gear. So FYI, it does work. So one of the practice flights I was using to actually sort of test it out and see what it was like, I did actually sort of, I may have miscalculated my fuel at some point. So I actually had to extend the gear. I actually flattened the battery in flight emergency. I flattened the battery and I ran out of fuel. So I actually had to extend the gear manually, and it does work. So kudos to you guys, Just Flight, for actually not only putting it in there as an animation, but actually making it usable. Just FYI, awesome work. Thanks, guys. Anyway, so yeah, I really like the worn textures of that. Things like the bottom of the windscreen there, of the actual sort of the cockpit windscreen. And that's sort of like grime layer. This is like that frosted layer that you get from also what you use here. Also got the this is fully animated. It does actually open as well. You can actually open this, unlock, so you can do that. Close and then of course relock. So again, like, great little attention to detail and little things as well. This is on sliders, you can actually do that as well. Now, unfortunately though, there is a letdown to this. So as we saw, this is an Australian aircraft, Australian registration. In fact, it is right there with the radio call sign, that's that. Unfortunately, on this side of the cockpit, there is that plate, which is one of the feature colour schemes which is included with this package. It is a UK registered Duchess in Bravo Zulu Romeo Tango. Unfortunately, the shared cockpit textures of all of these, including the American registration, the German registration, the Canadian registration, New Zealand registration, and the Australian registration, all include that nameplate. Kind of thought these guys would have fixed it by now, particularly given this is the 7th rev, so I'm kind of a bit surprised that QA missed that one. Otherwise, like, the texturing is great on the internal cockpit. The work, everything is fully functional, everything works. All the switches, all the circuit breakers all actually work and will actually kill stuff if you actually start pulling circuit breakers. And as I said, really functional, really well laid out, great work from the Just Flight team, except for that. And I'm like, it's just one of those little things where it's just like, you did so well everywhere else, and then you just, what the hell? Why? Why though? Why though? Anyway, so that's that. Yeah, as I said, frustrating. And we sort of, while I've been talking, we've seen our nav come back on the course. We're back on course. Yep, all good. And we're continuing to fly along rough weather up here at altitude. But of course, and the reason why we're staying at sort of 10,000 below 12,000 feet, of course, is that this is an unpressurized aircraft. There is no oxygen on board or pressurization. It's an unpressurized aircraft, but we're still getting our chance to do our navigation training and watching our autopilot correct and fight the wind. So it's great to see. Alright, so now that we've had a look at the inside, let's go and have another look at the outside of the textures. We have a little bit more of the airframe as we continue chatting about this wonderful training aircraft. Alright, so here we are on the outside of the aircraft. Fortunately, it looks like the weather's turned rather nasty on us here at altitude. We had that sort of beautiful sunrise as we left Port Macquarie, and then as we're heading inland to Tamworth, the weather's kind of gone to a bit rubbish. Okay, so, but it does give us a chance to actually have a look at the texturing. Sort of, we saw a bit of it before during our pre-flight, but now we can sort of go and we can have a look at some of the underneath of the aircraft as well, watching it as we buffered winds here, and still get some experience a little through that here. Buffeting of a few winds. Interesting that they've got a New Zealand website on the side of a flight training Adelaide aircraft. I think that might be an error. I don't think that's probably supposed to be there. I think that's from the. Okay, I'm not going to say definitely wrong, but I would be questioning having a New Zealand website on a flight training Adelaide aircraft. Just throwing it out there. Otherwise, it does give us a chance to actually have a look at some of the detail of the ailerons as they're working in the trim tabs, and the detailed work that's gone into the texturing of the engine under here as well. Like, absolutely beautiful work has gone into this texturing. as I said, like I really like the work that's gone into this. You can really tell the detail that's gone into the actual 3D model as well. We'll get out of that engine slipstream. A lot of details gone into the 3D model here. So lots of detail there. Very highly defined model. Great high resolution textures have gone into this airframe as well. Great work by the texture artist. The only things that I sort of have issues with here, and maybe this is just because I'm a little bit spoiled by when Flight Sim World was around, was internally though, this aircraft appears to only be modeled with a pilot model. So even if you go into the weight and balance and you actually add in weights for having an instructor in the aircraft, as well as potentially people in the passengers in the back, it doesn't actually add any in 3D models. It only ever has the pilot there, and I guess that's really I guess I can see the point of that. You're conserving frames and stuff, and draw calls and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's kind of like this is a flight training aircraft, so it's vast. It's used as a bit as a touring aircraft, but it's also its primary purpose is as a trainer. So it is kind of a bit of a shame that it doesn't include that. And I remember, as I said, maybe I feel I'm a bit spoilt and I miss the days of Flight Sim World, with the fact that Flight Sim World would dynamically change the weight of the aircraft and it would actually add a 3D model of a person into the corresponding place in the aircraft. So it'd be nice, and I know Just Flight did that when it was part of when they did their one of their PA-28s into Flight Sim World. So it would be nice to maybe find a way to bring it over and put it into Prepared, or maybe into X-Plane. That would be kind of cool. So that's kind of the only real complaint I've got in terms of the 3D model of the aircraft. Otherwise, the design of it is great. As I said, you got the two Lycoming engines with the opposite rotating propellers. The T-tail is very much an obsession and a highlight of Beechcraft aircraft. And of course, the King Airs all have T-tails, and it's something that's very common. It was very common during the 70s, at least, of designs of jetliner aircraft where it all had T-tails. So again, it makes sense for pilots moving into that sort of space. So. Yeah, but even from a student perspective, it's good because it keeps the disturbed airflow from the engines, keeps your control surfaces away from those. It means that it is a bit more of a docile, more easily controllable aircraft for a student heading out, which has they've got enough to worry about, as it were, during other parts of their training. And these winds are really starting to pick up here at altitude. I think it's a bit disturbing anyway. But yeah, as I said, otherwise, yeah, the external model is great. I think it's well done. A couple of little bugbears, things like that for me, but nothing huge and nothing major. Just I feel that some of the definitely that texturing issue on the inside was a bit frustrating. And as I said, I don't know about that. But as I said, I will not pass judgment on Just Flight for that one because I don't have a picture of this particular aircraft to reference against. So there you go. Anyway, other than that, as I said, nice looking aircraft. Pretty good. Handles, all the systems seem to handle as they should, and the bugbear about the 3D model. But that's I don't know whether that's a developer issue or whether it's a platform issue. I don't know, but it would be kind of cool to see that. All right, well, enough of me waffling. I think we'll settle into a bit of a bumpy cruise here as we head on towards our final destination. So I think we might take a break here, and we'll rejoin our student pilot here at the IFR as we come in towards Tamworth, and we are coming for our approach and into our final landing. Alrighty, so we are sort of starting, we've started our descent heading into Tamworth. We're going to be landing on 12 left today. Funnily enough, in the intervening period between we were having a look at those external textures and now, I had a bit of digging around. I found some reference photos. I also had some digging around the textures. Turns out it seems that texturing really has been a bit of an issue for Just Flight for this one. Looks like that they are put in the wrong texture into the folder that is being used for this particular color scheme. They've actually put in the each of the engine nacelles has its own texture, and they've used the wrong one. So the real aircraft, it should have this beautiful stripe on each engine nacelle. Yeah, this color scheme has it on one side but not on the other, and that's because they've reused the texture from the New Zealand color scheme instead of doing a custom this one. So Yeah, that's a bit of a, it's just a bit of a concern because I'm kind of like, well, you know, we're like, okay, guys, you know, this is a thing here. I was kind of hoping that, you know, you guys could actually sort of, you know, get some stuff right here, but apparently not. And that's sort of a bit, it's a bit of a shame. Like, it really sort of just detracts from what is otherwise, I think, a fairly good product. And yeah, it's a bit of a, it just puts a bit of a dampener on things, really, when I think about it, because as I said, like the instrumentation and the rest of the aircraft is actually done pretty well. So it's just a shame that it just seems that we, you know, that was just sort of just been lost a little bit, which is just seems a bit of a shame, really. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating, that one. So anyway, all right, so we're just sort of flying on an extended sort of downwind at the moment. What I've also done here is I've also just tuned in, while I've been talking, I've been tuning in, turn our weather radar off now, I've been tuning into the frequency here, because it does have an ILS, but on runway 30. So we're going to program in the back course, just so we can line ourselves up, to help line ourselves up with the runways when we do our approach. So yeah, it was just interesting. It just seemed a couple of texture issues with this. So the aircraft itself flies the aircraft flies really well. It definitely has that feeling of being a training aircraft, and you do have that feeling that it is a very docile aircraft, and it does sort of behave as I was, you know, as you sort of expect to. So that's a great thing, but it's just kind of like, yeah, it just seems to be a bit of a shame that we just sort of seem to have missed a couple of things with that, which is a bit, as I said, it's a bit of a shame, really, because I just think that otherwise this is just such a, like, yeah, as I said, like, the 3D modeling is done really, really well, and then, you know, the flight characteristics, you know, feel like it should as an aircraft coming through, but it just seems that things just got a little bit missed coming through here. So there you go. Anyway, all right, so just turning on, so we're going to turn straight to here. We need to see the core cyclone just moving through there. I think I've come in a little bit high speed here. I think I sort of left my descent a little late, I think, so I think we've actually come in here a bit hot on the old speed here, so might have to crab it a little bit just to try and bleed off some airspeed, I think. Just a couple of S-turns here is bleeding off some airspeed. Yeah, I think this one's going to be a go-around. We'll go around this one, I think. This is one of those things. It's a beautifully aerodynamic aircraft. It just, yeah, it's just not a does not slow down very easily. This one here. We'll turn midfield to our left-hand circuit. Rejoin. Probably, actually looks like we had to have aborted anyway, because it looks like there was an AI ACR just taking the runway there. join. Down. Flaps notch 2. Alright, so we're aiming for about a airspeed down. For about 75, 80 knots for our final approach speed. Runway is not clear, we still have the ATR on the runway there. What's he doing? Alright, well, thanks AR traffic, I guess we're going around again. Throttle up, gear up. Flaps up. Left-hand circuit, I guess. Alright, so in order for us to be able to finish this review, I've decided to ignore ATC and I'm going to, I'm going to use 12 right instead. It doesn't actually let you change runways using the InSim ATC, which is a bit annoying, so that's alright. So we're going to use our own initiative, considering that AI ATR is still just chilling there on the on 12 left. So we're going to come in, get ourselves established again. So nice flaps. there. And down, there we go. Oop, a little too much differential brake there. Alright, clean the aircraft up. We'll taxi over to some parking, and we'll give our final thoughts and review, and we'll shut the aircraft down. Alright. So flaps all up, cleaned up, excellent. Correctly, this should be taxiway just about here. Yep, there it is. It's been a while since I've flown into Tamworth. Alright, well I think you've been bored enough by that, so let's we'll rejoin as I taxi into the GA hangars, and we can shut the aircraft down. Let's take a break from that one. Orbix even put out a nice some ground crew for us, ready for our aircraft. Alright, so let's come to our stop here. Alright, parking brake on. Alright. Our flaps closed. Mixture to throttles to idle cutoff, prop to low, throttles to mixture to throttle cutoff. There we go. Done. Fuel pumps off. Fuel systems closed. Done. Engines back to magnetos to off. Alternators both off. Avionics systems off. Lights off. Equipment in here all to off. Off and off. Avionics and masters to off. That's all up, everything's done, everything's off, and battery master off. There we go. Done. Shut down. Alright, let's get out to the outside and let's go through some final thoughts of the aircraft today. Let's open up our door here so we can climb out. There we are. Okay, so final thoughts of the aircraft. Okay, well, you know, as I said, this is the aircraft itself. Okay, let's start with the model and the model and how it flies. So I really like the model. It's a great departure from, you know, as I said, we've seen a lot of the Piper family from Just Flight's team over the last few years, so it's great to see them going somewhere different. Still great to see them working in the GA space, especially with an aircraft that is a trainer. So it's a really great step for people wanting to expand their aviation experience, because at the end of the day, here's the thing, is that it doesn't matter whether you're flying you're flying an F-15 or whether you're flying a 737-800 or whether you're flying an A380. You all start in aircraft like this. This is how you start. So it's really important sort of to have this step and to have this background to be able to have one of these aircraft which is accessible and easy to use. And I think it's a great step that Just Flight's been doing, would be able to put these aircraft within reach and be able to do some really good quality modeling of them and their flight characteristics and their flight dynamics, and be able to give them that sense of being accessible, in the fact that, it is something that a real pilot will go, as a real pilot, you will go through, especially if you're doing multi-engine, you will do something like this. This is how you will get your multi-engine certification, is in an aircraft just like this. So being able to do that in a sim as well is a great way to sort of keep things real, as it were. And I think that the way it's modeled, the systems are being modeled accurately as best I can tell, as well as the flight dynamics very much feel like, from pilot reports of an aircraft like this, it's a very docile, very forgiving aircraft as needed for a trainer. However, what lets it down for me is that we're up to the 7th revision of this one. I went to review this one a little while ago, and there was some serious bugs with the avionics and with the save missions and the way the GPS engine was being utilized. And as I said, this is the 7th revision of this one, and I thought they'd fix it, but it seems that there's a lot of texture bugs creeping in here, whether it be the fact that, every texture, no matter whether it's a Canadian registration, New Zealand registration, Australian registration, or a German registration, all has a British nameplate inside the aircraft. All the way through to then, in this particular airframe that we're looking at here, the fact that the engine cowling has been copied from another color scheme is not the correct one. And it's like, and I looked at it, it's got the thumbnail here because it is an FSX, there's an FSX version. It's a one installer, it does all of the ESP platforms, whether you're getting FSX prepared 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4. So it's a bit frustrating and a bit disappointing to see that it got let down by that. I mean, it doesn't affect how it flies, but it's just, as an overall, it just, considering the quality that's coming out of some of these of the Just Flight team, it just feels that they'd really dropped the ball on this one, which is a shame because I really like the aeroplane. As I said, it's a docile, nice twin-engine touring training aircraft. It's great. It's just a shame about everything else. So yeah, bit disappointed really, as I said. But as I said, I'll let you guys decide if you want to pick it up or not. This has been my rather in-depth review of it. So as we round out the review, I do want to say once again, thank you very much to the wonderful team over at Just Flight for providing me with the review copy of the Duchess 76 to look at for us today. Don't forget, as always, if you want to grab this one, you can pick this on either direct from Just Flight or from your favorite flight sim retailer, available for all of the ESP platforms, whether that be FSX, FSX Steam, or prepared in all its formats. Oh, actually, on a side note on that, I do want to have a huge commend and a huge shout out to Just Flight for this, for actually paying attention to the prepared V3 and V4 SDK. So something that might be a little bit unknown for people is that Prepared V3 introduced capability for you to be able to install add-ons outside of the core sim, so it means that you could actually update the sim without having breaking all your add-on aircraft. You could use it by putting it into your developers could install them into the user's My Documents folder, or alternatively specifically into the Prepared V version 3 or 4 add-ons folder, or you can actually do it yourself and point it to any other directory you like. And it's great to see that Just Flight is one of the few developers who's actually embracing that and actually working with that, and so it is an option that you can include for when you're actually installing this aircraft. So well done to you, Just Flight, for that one. At least I can definitely say thanks for doing that one. Alright, as I was saying, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.